do you send your information to? I mean, just think about your business and who are you reaching out to?
There's marketing efforts, there's sales efforts, there's customer service efforts. All of those customer emotions and data all live within the CRM.
For you to be a successful thought leader, you need to be somebody who is thought of when people think about your subject.
At Growth, we strive to do great business with companies who do great business.
And once again, welcome, and everybody, thank you guys for joining us. Really excited to have you guys here. And there it is. As always, thank you everybody that's joining in. My name is Rick. I am Growth Community Manager and the host of our weekly micro lessons. Really excited to be talking to you guys today. And with me, I have Chris Carolan talking about B2B order portal management. Chris, these people don't need to hear from me. They need to hear from you, my friend. So take it from here. It's all yours.
Appreciate it, man. Love talking about this stuff. Probably a little bit too much. You know, what we were talking about before we went live is how, you know, so many people are kind of missing out on what they could be doing in HubSpot. We've come a long way since it was just a marketing, you know, automation platform. And a lot of what I'm talking about today is just like, how do you take advantage of the whole thing? And what, you know, the different ways, like once you just open up your mind to what you could be doing in HubSpot, all of a sudden, a lot of things you might have been holding back on, maybe relying on some other systems, even like not getting the portal because you didn't want to pay $200,000 and 600 hours of labor. And, you know, it doesn't have to be that way anymore. So I'm excited to be here, man. And I'm going to share my screen now. So just real quick, very background in industrial and manufacturing. Started out as a bench chemist, you know, moved over through operations and production quality control. And eventually, just because I knew all the customers, knew all of our products, got to go over into marketing and sales. And through that process, I learned a lot about all the disconnects of communication and all the work that had to go in. Of course, back then, all I knew was spreadsheets. So I was okay being the guy that just owned all the spreadsheets and I knew exactly where everything was. I could just clone here and update here. And then I moved out of that and I looked back and I saw other people trying to do it. And I was like, oh no, what did I do? So when I met HubSpot in 2017, no joke, changed my life, right? And since then implemented HubSpot 4 times in organizations between 2 million and 500 million, global, domestic. But always all of the hubs, right? Never just marketing, never just sales, never just CRM, always thinking about the whole journey. And so that's where I focused, like, and I always have that customer platform mindset. Now I'm a HubSpot partner. Started this agency last year and was so excited when they started talking about customer platform, right? Inside organizations, I was asked to do demand generation, customer experience. But when there's no RevOps program, when your stack is not in order, I can't do that stuff. If you can imagine that. I can't contact customers if we don't have an email list of our customers because our ERP doesn't track it. So learned a lot. And the other thing I learned is, you know, why. And I'll just get to that in a second, right? It's what we're going to talk about. With the current customer experiences out there, everybody tries to do what I'm about to talk about with line items. They want line items to be something I think that they're never going to be. And I think they should stay the way they are. I know that's a hot take, but they have a special place in the process. And then I'm going to talk about the delivery process, which is just a fancy way to talk about our portal. And as much as I would love to just say customer portal, HubSpot makes it hard for me to do that because there's a native customer portal, right? So that is not at all what we are talking about today. That is just for tickets and help desk-like activities. And while you can develop a little bit more on top of that, everything I'm talking about today relates to, CRM plus CMS or Content Hub tooling, the dynamic pages, HubDB, that kind of stuff, right? So we're not talking about the customer portal, talking about delivered portal, but at the end of the day, it's about self-service on the website. Why? It's amazing that I can pay $10 for a pizza and I know everything about that pizza, like the whole life story of that pizza, as soon as I hit order from when it gets to me. Yet I can spend $500,000 on a piece of equipment and I might not hear about it for 6 months. And if I want to hear about it, I got to call, I got to email, right? And once COVID blew up supply chains, I'm calling and emailing like a lot, right? So our internal teams are getting crushed. They're getting crushed by that. And again, no thanks to Amazon. If you go on Amazon, like it's very hard to not answer the question you have about the order, right? It's about everything in the order. Where is it? When am I going to get it? It's the tracking, all the paperwork related to it. In B2B, we usually got to call or email somebody. And why, right? A couple of reasons, but the main one is like prior to HubSpot and what I'm about to show today, you've either had like glorified spreadsheets that people are passing back and forth, or you have like $1 million implementations. Like I said, earlier, 200,000 just for the portal, if you wanted to add that to your HubSpot. But really, like when you see like B2B order portals and they're part of like ERPs, it's just so much work and maintenance. So yeah, people look at that contract, they look at that, they're like, okay, I'll just stick to spreadsheets. I'll just stick to calling. When it first hit me when we had a client, we had about anywhere from 10 to 15 projects open with that client and like 20 line items, per order and 4 different shipments, and we're buying and reselling. And there's a lot going on, maybe over a year's worth of fulfillment period. And there's addresses changing and there's so much data and there's no portal. We had to have 3 meetings a week with the project manager from that organization, an hour each time, with more than one person from our team, just to keep track of order status. And at some point, they're like, hey, I need better access to this information. Like, I love you guys, but it'd be cool if we didn't have to spend 3 hours a week, talking about order status. And for me, I'm in demand gen. I need those people doing how-to videos. I need them helping build the customer experience that we all talk about we wanted to do. And that's where it hit me, right? Like I couldn't do anything I was charged to do because all the people, it's not like they don't know. They know how valuable this stuff is. They don't even have time to think about this stuff. And it's kind of like it's more of the same. Like my job is to answer calls and emails. So if I just have to do more of that, right? It's not, what's the problem, right? Well, it is a problem. And especially when customers are used to this, we got to find a way to give them this self-serve access to information. Why can't we though, even when we have systems like HubSpot and ERPs? Well, the ERP, everything's built around either a deal or an order, right? I don't care about the status of that. I care about the status of everything in it. If I order 5 things, I need 5 statuses of where they are, especially if they're not shipping together, right? And when we're talking about why line items can't be, like they have to serve a specific role, right? Product libraries are the planned thing, the thing I want to sell you, the thing I'm probably going to sell you. But like most organizations, I might configure the hell out of that during the process. I might show you options A, B, C. I might show you options quantity of 10, quantity of 50, quantity of 100, right? And if we turn that into like a full object, are we deleting, the quantity 50, 100? Like, how is that going to work, right? So it has to serve this purpose of being just this instantaneous, editable thing until it's closed won. Then we don't want it to change ever, right? That's real bad practice to be going back in when somebody closed on the contract and you're having to edit line items. That's not cool. And there's a reason it doesn't work very well, right? So once I stopped trying, I've, talking to people like Kyle Jepson and George B. Thomas, I'm like, look, man, these line items, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to be a good admin and not create a custom object for something that already exists in the system. But once I gave myself permission to create this custom object that I'm calling deliverables, all of a sudden, everything I wanted was possible. I can associate it wherever I want. I can report on it the way that I want to, right? I can use pipelines the way that I want to, which, by the way, is really the superpower of custom objects. I shouldn't have to explain that. Pipelines, how much they drive most of what's in HubSpot and the automation, very powerful. And we designed it as it can be the catch-all. Like, when have you ever had a transaction, with a customer or on either side, right? And the thing you promise or the thing you are promised, you can't call that a deliverable, right? So if we can have a catch-all title like deliverable, what can we do with the pipelines, right? Pipelines are all about, stage, gate, process, right? So maybe we have some hardware. Maybe there's some warranty paperwork that we got to manage. Maybe the warranties, more than the paperwork, we got to renew it at some point. It's not really a sales process, right? How often do you see like $0 items in these accounting systems, and which finance teams hate, by the way, but you have nowhere else to put it, right? So you got to create it. You got to know, like, it exists. We got to keep track of it, or we don't. And then we're asking the customer for information about the thing that we sold them, right? So this offers an opportunity to, create some flexibility. And there's some shiny object stuff that I'm kind of going to show. It's not that shiny, but what's happening here is on closed won, we got a custom coded action in a workflow that says, hey, create deliverables that look just like the line items, right? Because that's the only way we can do that right now. We've got to use custom coded actions to do most of the things we want with line items. But now that we got the deliverables, I don't need to worry about line items anymore, right? Freedom. And that's all it is, right? And once we have that, what I found, Rick, was just having this space for your post-sales team to work in. Like, we don't have to worry about messing around with deals and getting in the way of the sales team. We don't have to worry about tickets and help desk and, reactive support. We've got our own space. We can name things in a way that it makes sense for our team, right? We can build a strategy around how we're managing this information post-sale. And that has been so powerful. Like, it just opens the door for proper post-sale strategy. And so that's all the slides, but this is why I always stick on strategy, usually way longer than anybody wants me to, because we got to get this part right? And of course, everybody's focused on this usually. If we're bringing in HubSpot, if we're talking about CRM, but I was just talking about post sales Why am I so focused on post sales and order management? Well, guess where a lot of these high intent revenue opportunities come from? Resell, upsell, cross sell, all these initiatives everybody has, right? They haven't been able to figure out how to hit them because everybody's focused on new, right? Or we don't know how to build the system to support it. And if we look back here, and this is, my approach to most things that we build out, right, is what's the customer life cycle look like, right? I have a different way to label because I like to think about the humans involved and what they're trying to accomplish. I'm not going to call anybody a lead or prospect. I don't like the word buyer very much. It's like, it's just so easy to forget about. This person's not a number. They might be here or anywhere in between, very on the near, right? And, we haven't been able to manage this very effectively, this whole space, right? Even though HubSpot has always told us, focus on your customers. They're actually great at it, right? Focus on your customers. That's where your revenue is going to come from easier. Yet we haven't created a place until very recently. We haven't created ways to do that very easily. So what does that mean, right? If we scale back a little bit, and I'm not going to go over all the things, right? We've got these different teams, right? Marketing, sales, CX, operations, finance, right? But all the focus, if we scale back into here, right? High revenue opportunity, we scale in, got our deal stages, got to get those figured out. What does our quote process look like? And just kind of like, this is the perspective, right? If you, we focus on this when this is the big picture, right? Like all of that, we're missing out on so much opportunity, right? When all of our process, all of our rules, all of our automations are just focused on making this go. So when we think about, what this started from, okay, I've been in some portals, what do they want? What does somebody want to see? Right. And, you come up with some cards, and I like to think about these. Like, if you can think about this as like a card on a CRM record, it becomes very easy to understand how to manage this stuff. Right. And once you highlight, what they want, you start to say, okay, I got properties for that. I can make properties. Right. And when you do that, when you figure out the properties, now you get to places like this, where this is, HubSpot CMS site. All right. Got to have some fun with George B. Thomas at Inbound last year. So I made an example about that. We got Inbound coming up. Right. So this is pulling right from the CRM. Click on details here. We got properties coming from the CRM. We got proof of delivery. All of this is rich text, fields. Here's the proof of delivery. Us enjoying some peanut. I should say not necessarily enjoying it, but definitely trying it for the first time, right? And if you come back here, look at it. Okay, it went so well. We wanted to order some more. George wanted to order some more, right? We're doing things like, reorder links, right? This is a rich text field out of property with a payment link, right? This took me about 10 minutes to set up. All of this is building blocks. Nope, none of this is from tickets. It could be, right? And what I'll show is, since that's the question, right? This is where I'm pushing HubSpot, right? Because this is all and this is where Deliverables is the only custom object in this process, right? And what we're creating is, since we got memberships down at the pro level, right? I click in here go to object settings. This is in the CMS. And I can do invoices, or I can do payments, subscriptions, orders. These are all native objects. So that means I could copy and paste this into another portal. I don't have to worry about connecting dots. They're always the same IDs, right? And this is the power of using these building blocks, right? And connecting it to the CMS. This is where 80% of that cost of the $150,000, $200,000 is 600 hours of labor goes away, simply because all I have to do after setup is maintain the CRM, right? I don't have to log into another portal. I don't have to worry about integrations, right? I'm just maintaining CRM data, and that maintains the portal. And now that we've got some great, middle cards, like this is an example of a deliverable record, right? Same thing we saw on the record. If we look at it a different way, this is a contact record. Contact to orders. This is from the order record. I can just, click in and say, maybe instead of a cool guy, he's a bad guy, right? This is the kind like order. When I say order management, B2B order portal management, that's not in a separate spot. That's right here in the CRM. And we always talk about giving our teams a place to work. Like can we just give them one spot, right? We can now, like 100%. And so it could be tickets, right? It could be payments, it could be invoices, all this stuff. The last thing I'll show here, and I'll just keep going. Like these all bound timelines, we get this stuff delivered, and so focused on, leads and lead gen and opportunities. Now that we have stuff like this, right? Imagine if you can just see, if sales can see, everybody can see, like we're talking to suppliers, we're talking to the customer, they had a problem, all the visibility everybody's been asking for. It's possible now. And that's where we need to get out of our own heads. CRM, for most people, for everybody actually, stands for customer relationship management, right? For some people, unfortunately, that means, okay, just for deals, like get all the other contacts out of here, like only marketing people. No. Why? If supply chain conversations are happening and that matters to my customer, and I'm a sales guy and I got to tell somebody, the lead time just went from 8 weeks to 12 weeks, right? Usually, you got supply chain people or purchasing agents, they got to like email you or call you, give you the bad news. And then why in the hell would we not want that information in the CRM right next to the customers, right? So I like to refer to HubSpot as, well, honestly, it is HubSpot, but CRM as the communication and relationship management, right? And I'll just cap it off at, this is an order record. So we have these now. This is not fairyland. This is not custom. This is not based on an integration with Shopify or NetSuite. This is true native orders in HubSpot. And it's here, right? So not a lot of customization, development, like almost no development is needed, right? And HubSpot's continuing to build towards this. This is like the connection now. This gives us that complete picture that we've been wanting for a long time. And of course, in a lot of cases, we're going to use this to be the bridge to the ERP, to the accounting system, right? But we want our customer-facing people, no matter where they are, we want them working on HubSpot, obviously. It's the usable system. So I'm a little passionate about this, Rick.